Hello and welcome. So excited to have all of you joining us tonight. It looks like we are having some technical difficulties with Facebook. So I'm just going to make sure that we get that all sorted out here. All right. And see, I know that we had tech support working on that in the background. So thank you, Sarah. Really happy to have our team working with us here. I'm Risa. I am the digital manager here with Women's March. We're really excited to talk tonight about International Women's Day. And we are so excited to see so many of you all over the country in the comments, so many returning guests and friends all over the country, West Coast, East Coast. We've seen our Philly friends, see our friend Karen up in Big Bear Lake, California. I'm seeing lots of you that are always with us, and we're always happy to have you. Tonight is a jam-packed program, and so we're going to try to get into it pretty quickly. But we do want to make sure that we are up on Facebook. So we're going to try to get that sorted out before we get the program started. In the meantime, tell us where you're coming from. Tell us what a free America looks like to you, because what's important about what we're doing is having a vision for the future, having a vision of a world that we aspire to, not just the things that we want to go away, not just the things that we're working against, but the things that we are working for. So tell us in the comments. Let us know what a free America looks like to you. We're going to keep trying to work on getting Facebook up and live with us for just another second here. But failing that, this recording is going to be on YouTube tomorrow. So if you, our guests here on YouTube with us right now, are going to need to hop off at any point, rest assured that if you registered for the call, you will receive the link via email tomorrow. And also, this is the same link that you'll be able to watch it tomorrow as well. So to that end, we are really excited to have y'all on with us tonight. We do have some community norms. We are heavy-handed on the ban hammer. So if you are being abusive in the comments, if you are not cultivating the kind of community that you want to see in this world in the comment section, then we're cutting it out. You're not going to be joining us in this comment section. Well, the way that we treat each other and the way that we on stage are treated is a reflection of the community that we're building. So keep that in mind. Be good to each other. Operate with curiosity. Ask each other questions instead of making assumptions if we're feeling some kind of way. Assume each other's best intentions and also operate with good intentions. Easy, right? Additionally, if you are spamming the chat, if you are trolling people, we are going to block and ban you. Easy. So, all right, it looks like we have Facebook going. Very excited to have everyone tonight. Make sure to ask your questions throughout the night in the chat. We will be answering them at a couple points in the program. We're not going to necessarily stop talking to answer them, but you will know when we're having a Q&A. So tonight, we are talking about International Women's Day. And we know that things have turned upside down. The Epstein file release has demonstrated that this administration is more invested in protecting the rich and the powerful, while the girls, the children that they abused, suffer without justice. And in the same time, ICE has been given carte blanche to tear families apart, to subvert the most basic constitutional rights and operate with impunity. But we are not going to stand by as human rights are stripped and as our nation descends into fascism. So tonight, we are turning our outrage into action. And we are going to get ready for International Women's Day, March 8th, to make a plan, to take action, and make good trouble. So let's get into it with Women's March Executive Director Rachel O'Leary Carmona.
Hi, everyone. Can everyone hear me? Shout out to everybody who's in all of the different places. I'm coming in hot from Denver, Colorado this time. Usually I am at home in Amarillo, Texas, but always from Wisconsin in my heart. So shout out to everybody who's in the middle of the country, who's not always, at the in the places that people think about. Shout out to flyover country, shout out to God's country, shout out to everybody who's here from the coast. And honestly, just everybody who's here tonight. I think the thing that a lot of people forget in all of these moments that we have is that history has really been made, and every progressive struggle that has ever been made has just been made by people who show up. Like it just is that simple. It just starts there. So I just want to say thank you. You could be spending time in different places with your kids or with your grandkids or with your dog, or just out running or walking or doing whatever, practicing for a 5K. And instead we're here and we're trying to make change together. And there's something that's really beautiful about that. I am also struggling with a little bit of cat allergies right now. So if you hear me sniffling and whatever, just don't pay attention to me. And I'm really excited to be talking about International Women's Day this year because International Women's Day is a day that is generally more celebrated, across the globe than in the United States. And I'm really happy to be bringing some focus at a time that I think that a feminist intervention and conversations about women, and equality, misogyny, and sexism is very, it's a very live wire in this country. We've seen, the ushering in of the second Trump presidency, on the heels of a narrative online that was, your body, our choice. And then we've seen relentless attacks on women, from the lack of justice for the Epstein files, for the women that are both picking up the pieces in communities that have been destroyed by ICE abductions, to the women who are getting abducted themselves. We've seen protesters, obviously Renee Good and Alex Preddy, certainly, but we've seen the role that women protesters have played in the front lines of this fight. And now more than ever, it's important for us to really be in solidarity with our international, comrades, comadres, and be really clear about what the moment demands of women, of feminists, and of our movement in general, to beat back the misogyny and the sexism that is actually at the root of the theory of change for MAGA. By their own words, in their own analysis, the destruction of feminism is central and important to their Project 2025 succeeding. And so we understand that the opposition knows exactly how important it is to undermine feminism for fascism to flourish. And so we have to take that into our analysis as well and understand that this International Women's Day, we are going to fight fascism by honoring the courage, the labor, the struggles, the triumphs, of women. And we're going to call for a weekend of action. There may be things that are familiar to you. There may be marches, there may be rallies, but there may be more direct actions that are protests that we have seen, for example, around retail stores or companies that are supporting ICE, companies that have been complicit with the Epstein files. We've seen protests around the campuses where professors who have been involved in the Epstein files cover up have worked at. And so we are expanding our toolbox. Some of you were with us for the walkouts last month. And so that we're not just marching anymore, although that's still a very important tool in the toolbox. We are refusing to comply. We're standing in the face of injustice, and we're showing our collective power. We are going to refuse to be any kind of working cog in the machine of fascism, and are in fact going to be ungovernable until the attacks on our communities desist. And that is women, cross race and place, immigrants, survivors, specifically focusing this International Women's Day on the survivors of state violence, both as it pertains to the violence against women, particularly with folks who have survived sexual assault, sexual abuse, sexual exploitation at the hands of Epstein and the cabal of humans that are in his files, but also thinking about the ways in which state violence is also driving ICE. And the root of that same violence being abuse, and a lack of accountability for men in power. So we are going to start. Obviously, I've talked about the demands. Our two demands are justice for the survivors of gender-based violence, including accountability for the wealthy and powerful who are often unaccountable, and an end to ICE kidnappings, investigations, and full accountability for the extrajudicial killings of immigrants and U.S. citizens, and a freeze on the funding and towards the abolition of ICE. So we are not, in a posture where we're saying, oh well, if we make ICE a kinder and gentler, militia force in our streets, that'll work for us. We want to be unequivocal. We want accountability and justice for the survivors, and we want accountability and justice for the folks who have been victimized by this secret police force, this masked militia that is ICE. And so we're inviting folks to take action today. We were thinking of like, what are the demands that we're thinking of? And these are the two concrete things. We listened to our base very carefully. And we have been getting consistent feedback of, we need to do more around ICE, and we need to do more to support the survivors around Epstein. And so those are the two things that we're focused on for this International Women's Day, which honestly makes sense because it's so aligned with the history and the I guess, tradition of all of the things that we honor on that day. So we will be talking, Shauna and Risa, I think, will be talking a little bit more about how to plug in. Like, what does this actually look like? So we've got these demands. We've got the 30,000 foot. Okay, so what does it look like in my community? What does it look like in my church group, in my school group, in my knitting club? What is refusal actually look like? What does direct action look like? So we're going to have some folks that are going to talk to you about the nitty gritty of what and the how. And this is the first call of a number of calls. So we've got a month to prepare, and I know that we're going to get there. And this is going to be one of the most, I think, the highest participation in the United States on International Women's Day, and hopefully an historic day for all of us involved. So I want to say thank you to everybody. I'm seeing New York and Florida, and folks saying that they stand with the victims and the survivors of Epstein. And I think it's really important for us to be centered in our purpose here, and also in all of the brouhaha and all of the political machinations of who's got you and what, and who's, kind of being held accountable for these, for these crimes, and say that in the center of them, it's their survivors, and probably too many of us on the call who have experienced something similar. And so I just want to say shout out to everybody who's here, who has experienced something like this, or who has a loved one who has, because it's really heavy, and it gives us a reason for a different tomorrow for the people who we love, that can be safe in their communities and their bodies, in their homes and in their lives. So I just want to say thank you to everybody who's still here for the fight. And we will see you in the streets. And I'm going to kick it to Shauna and Risa.
Thanks, Rachel. We have so much to cover tonight. And so we do want to shout out a quick question that we saw in the chat, because this one's a really important one. International Women's Day is March 8th. So we are taking action that whole weekend. So we're going to be taking action March 7th through 9th. And Shauna is going to start by taking us through what kind of action people can take and how to get that moving.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you all for being here. So excited to see everybody on the call. Lots of energy in the chat and lots of questions about what to do. And so your action can look really like anything you want it to look like. We are leaning into some more direct actions and really interrupting the status quo. And we've seen things happening that are really in line with those type of actions, where you can stand on your street corner and you can still interrupt if ICE is in your neighborhood and blow whistles. You can do things that help to engage your neighbors. You can get with your church folks, with your folks that do your mutual aid. You can get with anybody in your school system or in your workplace and really get a group of folks together and get out there and just make yourself seen, make yourself heard. And the way to do that is to get on our map. And what we would like to do is see people, start something. You don't have to have prior knowledge on how to do any of this. We will walk you through it. We will help you from A to Z. But the goal really is to get people out there doing the work, building the community, building those muscles, and showing them that we all are here together in solidarity. And as Rachel said, this is the time where we're seeing everybody and this great need to stand up with the systematic attacks against women across the board, from the Epstein files to the ICE raids, across the board. So this is our time to really stand strong and make the U.S. presence on International Women's Day show up in a big way. And so I think that's the first step, is just to get something on the map, invite your friends, get a small group, and let it grow from there.
And we've just dropped that map link in the chat. So you can grab that link there. Hopefully you can click it from the chat. We also have a lot of volunteer opportunities. So we'd love for you to join our volunteer teams in support of our upcoming International Women's Day actions. We're looking for volunteers who can help virtually in the lead up to the actions with things like peer-to-peer texting, promoting the actions online, and helping with phone banking. We're also building a long-term national volunteer network. So this is a really great opportunity to step in, stay connected, and support future actions as they arise. So I'm going to drop that link in the chat here as well. All right. So now at this point, we know you have to have questions, and we are so excited to answer them. We're going to bring on Tamika with us to answer some questions really quick. Get us started with some Q&A about International Women's Day and the Brave Women Weekend of Action. So let's take a look, check in. And again, want to reiterate, the date of International Women's Day is March 8th. So we are taking a whole weekend of action around March 8th. So mark your calendars, March 7th through 9th. Find a day that is going to work for you and do something in your community. All right, let's keep an eye out.
And we will drop that March link again. But I will say, if you can also find an action near you, you go to the bravewomen.us. And if you go to bravewomen.us, you will see on there a button that says propose or host or find an action, something. I can't remember exactly what it says. But if you click that button, it will take you to the map. Or if you also click the other button that says there's a button that says pledge to take action. And so you can click any of those buttons and we will help you find an action near you. International Women's Day every year, y'all. Every year, no matter where you are, no matter what we're up to, March 8th is International Women's Day.
I just want to shout out Paul, who brought up a really good point. We often are asked, can men come to these events? We want you to be a feminist. We want you to come and show up with us. Absolutely. We need many, many, many more men to come out and identify and act and be as feminists and allies, because we do need everybody supporting the rights of everybody. So it's not a women's exclusive event. When you see Women's March do an event, it's never going to be exclusive to just women. We do want to have our allies and our supporters there with us.
Great. Now we do have a question about, is there a planned march for March 8th? Tamika, do you want to take this one?
Sure. The invitation here for March 8th, and actually as a part of our broader sort of Brave Women initiative, is while we know there are, mass mobilizations, that is our bread and butter. We are Women's March, right? And also we have all year long been inviting folks in to take part in and participate in and plan direct actions. How can we invite you into doing things that may not require you to have 1,000 people in your hometown, but that may be 50 people. I saw someone saying visibility on bridges. It could be that. It could be you and your folks making a quilt and putting it in a public space. It could be all kinds of actions, right? So we want you to take some direct action. We want you to visibilize the dilemma. So there's not a planned march on March 8th. We are asking you all to take part in a number of actions. And I also see UF Jordan had another question that I also want to go ahead and respond to, which is why not join forces and stand in solidarity with the No Kings March on March 28th? What I will say we are partners, and we have consistently been partners with No Kings, and so we will support folks who are taking action on March 28th. And also, again, just like what happened in January, there is not just one tactic, one strategy, one date that is going to make the impact. We have to be constantly and consistently in the practice of resistance. And so, yes, show up on March 28th, and also show up on March 8th, and also show up on May Day, and keep showing up in your community. Every single time there is an opportunity for you to take action, we want to invite you into that.
And we're also inviting people because March 8th is International Women's Day. This is a different commemoration. This is a different means of action. This is a different purpose of action because we do want to recognize women and the challenges facing women, femmes, and the specific marginalizations that we're experiencing, the specific violence that women have experienced under our own systems and across the world. This is an international day. So this is a moment of yes, and we are doing this, we're doing all the things, and we are with you every step of the way. And we hope that you're with us too.
And so we will keep being in the streets. I see folks asking about if we're organizing with other groups. We are consistently working in coalition and collaboration. This International Women's Day action is in collaboration with Feminist Generation. We're also bringing in new partners every single day. When we mobilized in January with the walkouts, there were a number of partners that you could find. I think they might still be on the Free America site. We are always organizing with other groups. We're always working in collaboration. We are a part of the May Day Strong Coalition. We are always building with other groups and in coordination. Even if we are not in coalition, we are still always coordinating and saying, how can we enhance and lift up and build on the things that are happening on the ground. And we'll have some folks from other organizations that are going to talk a little bit later on the call. So I'm going to be quiet because I know Reese is moderating. I don't know if she's moving us along, ushering us through.
I just want to say Patty got it right. I show up for everything because we have to. So whether it's us, whether it's No Kings, whether, whoever is throwing down, we need to be in the streets as much as we can, standing in solidarity together and letting them know that we see it all. We see it all.
Shauna, can I toss this as a question that I would love to lift up for you?
Sure.
What are some ways, this is from Tracy Thiessen, what are some ways I could bring attention to the International Women's Day at my work?
So I'm going to say there's a lot depending on where you work, right? Different places are going to have different rules about what you can do. But if you have newsletters that you can get out, you can uplift, brave women, like literally what the campaign's leading into is, stories about brave women. So talk about the brave women that have made impact here around the world. This is not just a United States event, but absolutely talk about the brave women who have fought for our rights, the brave women who have fought for racial justice, the brave women who are still fighting in Minneapolis. How we see more political violence happening against brave women, right? That when we're seeing ICE target the helpers, they're mostly targeting women, right? So you can talk about whatever parts of being a woman and what you feel needs to be uplifted right now on International Women's Day and how this state violence is impacting us. I think that's the most important thing that we're trying to put out and really get the message across that this is happening everywhere. This is happening in the Epstein files. This is happening in the streets, and this isn't going away. So if we're not here talking about it with our coworkers, with our friends, with our church folks, and bringing them into the know, then how are they going to get this information? Because we know it's not being put out everywhere, right? So I would say have those conversations, but newsletters, if you can, get together and have conversations at lunch. Do book reading groups where you read, one of the books that's written by someone who's been through it. Or I know Tamika has better book recs than I do, but but you get the gist. Have the real conversations with folks and build community with people having real conversations about what's happening.
Risa, do we have time for any more questions?
We are going to come back to more questions at the end, but right now we are going to dive more into. There is another question that we are about to get into because someone asked, this still feels vague. Do you have more concrete actions and advice? So we're going to get into that right now. We have some incredible guests that are going to be talking about ways that they are taking direct action in their communities. So I'm going to toss it over to Tamika to talk more about the Brave Women Initiative first.
Amazing. There was another question that I'm going to speak to in the chat, and you will catch it when I come to it. But this International Women's Day is one sort of entry point that we're inviting folks into as a part of a broader initiative that we're calling Brave Women. We recognize that right now we are in a moment where we are all required. Someone said it. We have to. This is a moment that requires us to sort of keep taking actions. I think someone said consistent resistance. That's what we're trying to invite you all into. So Brave Women is our initiative where we invite you into everyday acts of non-compliance. What we know is in the face of authoritarianism, in the face of fascism, we have to be consistently removing our compliance every single day. We have to consistently say that we reject what is happening. We will not cooperate. And so if you've been with us for a minute, you've seen us sort of offering trainings on non-cooperation. You can probably still find some of them on our YouTube channel. And we will keep training you all, keep offering these trainings on how to not cooperate and what the impact of that might be. And so we want to invite you into that every single day. So International Women's Day is one part of that. That entire weekend, we're inviting you to not cooperate in whatever ways that may be with your community. On that weekend, we want you to take action together, collective non-cooperation, just like we did on January 20th with the walkouts. How do we demonstrate economic cooperation? How do we demonstrate cooperation, non-cooperation in various forms? And someone said in the chat, are we going to be tracking it? And yes, my friends, yes, we are. And so we have a site that is Brave Women, .us. If somebody can put the banner up, there we go. It's bravewomen.us. And so what we want you all to do is to take a look at bravewomen.us. And if you go to bravewomen.us, I am going to share my screen so you can see this. If you go to bravewomen.us, on the top, you'll see the map for the actions for International Women's Day. And that's this map here, if you go to the top of that page. And then you will also see a link that says Brave Acts. If you click on Brave Acts, you will see this here that says, tell us how you are being brave. And this is an anonymous way for you to log in your acts of bravery. So on the left side, you'll see a form that just says, hey, tell us a little bit about what you did. What brave action did you take? There's a menu of some different kinds of brave actions you could have participated in, right? And then you can say, I didn't do any of those things. I did something else. And then you can tell us a little bit more. And we'll be capturing these stories of ways in which everyday folks have been brave so that we can show you and share with you that you are in community. You are not alone in taking brave action. And as we get those actions logged, this little Free America flag right here will raise to the top of the flagpole. And our hope is that by the end of 2026, we will have logged 10,000 acts of bravery from folks across the country. So that is what we are inviting you all into, whatever it looks like. And over the next several months, but especially in the next few weeks, we'll be offering a number of trainings for folks who want to learn more about different ways you can take action. So everything from how to protest safety and de-escalation to how to use arts and crafts. Someone talked about someone knitting as they as a part of their action. We have seen people. We've seen folks doing the anti-ice hats that are going around right now. We want people to use their arts as activism. You've seen people create banners and do banner drops. We've seen people create giant puppets. We saw the drummers on the corner in Minneapolis. A number of different ways for you to show your dissent. And so we'll be offering some trainings on how to do those things, how to do creative escalations. And so stay in touch with us. Stay keep paying attention to our socials, keep paying attention to your emails so you can get more information about those trainings. And so, yes, bravewomen.us will have things up on the page. You can sign up for things there. Keep your eyes open for these trainings as we roll them out so you can get more information and more ideas about things you can be up to on International Women's Day and beyond. So with that, I'm going to be quiet and toss it back to Risa.
Thank you so much. Now, we are going to get into what exactly we mean by taking brave action, because there are incredibly courageous people across the country who are taking action directly and doing the real work. So first, I am really excited to welcome Andrea Luna Cervantes to the stage with us to talk about the brave action that they are taking. Hi, Andrea.
Hi, good evening. Thank you so much for having me on this Brave Women Mass Call. My name's Andrea Luna Cervantes, and I'm based in Arizona. I'm a campaign manager with Organized Power in Numbers. So I organize in Phoenix and across the Valley, and as we've been speaking about this right now, I want to share what direct action has looked like for us on the ground in Arizona. But to understand, this moment that we're really meeting, I really want to share the history that we've had in Arizona. So here we have been the testing ground for SB 1070, or the Show Me Your Papers law, which was one of the most extreme anti-immigrant laws in the country. The law empowered local police to act as immigrant agents, normalized racial profiling, and embedded enforcement into just everyday life. It created a political culture rooted in fear and criminalization for our people. And even though the political landscape has shifted in recent years, that was in 2010, the infrastructure and that hesitation from elected officials still really lingers. So really recently in Surprise, Arizona, we had learned about the purchase of a warehouse that will be converted into a 1,500-bed detention center. And that wasn't just a development deal. It was a major expansion of, detention infrastructure in our state, caging our people. And we knew if we didn't intervene early, it would move forward without transparency or accountability. So we took it to the streets, we organized. Direct action for us is not abstract, it's organized, intentional, and rooted in our community. In Surprise, that meant showing up to city council meetings in numbers over 1,000 people, both inside and outside the chamber. It meant packing the city council chamber and lining up for public comment. It meant having our partners and volunteers do outreach to their family and friends to inform them that this detention center was being built in their backyard. We forced conversations, we really created scrutiny, and we made it clear that any attempt to expand detention would be met with organized resistance. And today, actually, the mayor of Surprise released a letter requesting the Department of Homeland Security to answer the questions that community came and demanded. They disrupted the meeting. And that's just one of the examples of how we harness energy and really give a direction. And just yesterday, actually, we had another window of opportunity in Phoenix. So Phoenix City Council was proposing super weak, watered down immigration policies, symbolic at best, while preventing public input, really silencing community from being able to say what we want. Community members were being shut out of the very conversations that affect their lives. So again, we did what organized communities do, and we shut it down. When they tried to move forward without real participation of our people, we made our own space. We took over. We literally created our People's Forum inside that chamber and made it impossible for them to ignore the voices that they were trying to silence. And we will be continuing to show up and disrupting until community is heard. They were trying to have business go as usual, and disruptors got up saying what they thought, and we chanted and created our own forum within this space that they were trying to control. So direct action for us is really about shifting the power to us. We're shifting the political cost of inaction. We're building relationships across cities, and we're building that local infrastructure, training leaders, developing rapid response networks, and really strengthening our neighborhood level organizing. We truly are, building organized power in numbers within our community, within our people here in Arizona. Here we have a history of being a state for anti-immigrant policy, but we are really trying to, with these direct actions, are trying to work to make it a state of resistance, strategy, and really hold community-led action. But that's just some of the examples of what it's looked like for me here in Arizona. It's really strategic. It's grounded in the people and the love I have for my family, having immigrant background, into the community, that volunteers for us. And it's really rooted in the belief that when systems fail to represent us, we don't retreat, we organize, we show up, and we demand. But that's just what it's looked like for me. My voice is gone because I've been chanting like all these past days, demanding, that our community be put first. But I would love for all you to like participate in something, whatever that means to you. But that's just an example. But I'll pass it back to you, Russell.
Incredible work, Andrea. Thank you so much for everything that you are doing within your community. This is really hard work, and it does take a lot of courage to stand up, to get in the way, and to be disruptive. So thank you again, and we'll see you in the Q&A. Next on stage, we're welcoming our friend Amber from About Face. About Face is a great partner of ours. So Amber, talk about what you and About Face are doing to be courageous in this moment.
Yeah, thank you for having us tonight. My name's Amber, and I'm a member organizer of About Face Veterans Against the War, an organization of post 9/11 military veterans who advocate for an end to militarism abroad and in our communities. And this has never been so relevant in my life as right now. I live in Minnesota. I live in a suburb of Minneapolis, and while Minneapolis and our state capital, St. Paul, receive a lot of attention, as they should, because they are the epicenter of all that is happening and have witnessed some of the worst violence from the federal government. The occupation by violent federal agents has manifested throughout the state, especially in the first-ring suburbs and exurbs, and also in our more rural areas. My organization was able to mobilize 17 people to assist us in doing on-the-ground work in the last 2 weeks. And we do really look forward to sharing these experiences out with people soon via our social media. But for our members' own safety, we'll be limiting that for now. I know that there have been lots of news stories and social media posts about this, but I cannot stress enough that the reason this movement in Minnesota has been so successful and continues to persevere after an incredibly intense 12 weeks is because it is a matriarchal movement. Women, femmes, and queer people make up not only the majority of those who are providing mutual aid and community defense, but are almost exclusively filling the leadership roles in the vast networks that exist throughout our state, using the skills that they have, somehow creating time in an already incredibly busy day, and doing it with a deep care for all of those around them. While there are community organizers and other people who have been doing transformative work as part of this vast network for years, this movement would not be possible without the elderly church basement ladies. And I'm going to give a special shout out to my Lutherans. I was raised ELCA, suburban wine moms, recent empty nesters, professionals and non-professionals alike, with a spectrum of skills, underemployed millennials and zillennials just wanting to do what is right. And yes, veterans as well, who have decided to use their skills to protect their communities instead of extract from it. And no matter what your skill set or interest is, if you are ready to take action to keep your neighbors safe from federal violence while transforming how we conceptualize community togetherness, there is a place for you in this movement. You simply need to take initiative. All across the country, people are preparing for invasions like we have had in Minnesota. And one thing I can say for certain is that no matter how much time you have to give or whether you can accept risk or not, you are definitely needed. I'm going to try to push through all the little things, and I cannot even account for all of them. I'm just going to touch on a fraction of what is needed. We do need folks who can accept high risk to be out keeping a watch on the neighborhood and alerting people when ICE agents are spotted, but that they also need to have the ability to immediately switch to aftercare for the family and other observers who just witnessed a violent abduction. Women are incredible at this essential dual role. We need chaos managers that know both the people and the physical spaces of their communities well to help provide a safety link for these brave people documenting the actions of federal agents. We need incredibly detail-oriented people to expand their small community pantry to a massive weekly grocery delivery network and all that goes with it. We need our knitters, crocheters, and quilters to prepare special gifts for expectant moms, while also connecting those moms to a network of care providers that they may not have considered before. And also shout out to any of the knitters who may have been part of this fundraiser thing. I know some of that is coming to my community, and oh my gosh, thank you. Because we need it, because we need money. We need so much money to keep our neighbors housed and safe. My favorite response when a fundraising committee was being put together was, "I'm a Midwest sorority girl. I got you." And I definitely trust a sorority girl to make a successful fundraiser happen. Policy change is needed at the city, county, and state levels. Art, from canvas printing to singing, aftercare for impacted families and responders, business canvassing to prepare them for how to protect their workers, but also how to notify the rapid response network if they need support. 20 more seconds. Meals for those who are putting in long hours to defend their community and or struggling with their mental health. And sharing meals with neighbors is indeed something Minnesota does very well. And what we need in all of this is care, consent, and conversation every step of the way, something that matriarchal spaces are incredibly well regarded for. Check.
Yeah. And so all of this is really highlighting the importance of different skill sets and the ways that we can all use our own skills, our own backgrounds to be supportive of the movement. I love that you shouted out the retirees and the stay-at-home parents, or like the remote workers, the people who are out of work, because there's a time capacity difference and availability that we really need. Um, you know, the sorority girl connection to fundraising, that is an incredible point. Everybody has some kind of a skill that they can contribute. And so these are the kind of things that we want you to be thinking about as you, who is joining us here tonight, are thinking about the kind of actions that you can take in your community, the kind of direct action that you can be engaging within your locality. What issues are impacting you? Andrea talked about the immigration centers that they're trying to open in her community. And so think about what's happening near you. How can you use the skills that you have in support of a better solution for those? So Amber, thank you so much for bringing all of this to the surface. We'll see you again in a few minutes for the Q&A. And next, I want to bring to the stage a teacher who has been fighting back in rural Texas. Amanda, welcome to the stage.
Hello, good evening. Thank you for having me. So I am to share with you guys some of the difficulties I've had or endured just within the last few months. And the school year starts with the passing of SB 10, which essentially Governor Abbott is mandating that we post the 10 commandments in every single classroom. And we knew this day was coming. Of course, somebody was going to donate them. But in the meantime, everybody thinking and conjuring what they were going to do about this. So many people's solution was to just post, other religious text alongside this one, and none of that didn't set with me. Just all the little like hiding your poster, and of course, there's some rules laid out in the bill in that regard, and the only thing I could go to sleep at night without being disappointed in myself or losing my own just self-respect for what I know is right or wrong. I just decided I wasn't going to do it. And so when the day came that we had our mandatory meeting, this was also right after Charlie Kirk was shot and killed, where Abbott also released a memo that we didn't all individually receive, of course, that, our admin should be turning us in if we had anything negative to say about the death of Charlie Kirk. I got a friend request from my principal on my social media. We had this meeting over the 10 Commandments, and we were told, we work for the state and Abbott is our boss, and you're going to do this thing. And so after she was finished with her spiel, I just raised my hand and said, I'm not going to do this, and I just need to know what the consequence for noncompliance is. And I mean, she was just agape. No one knows what the consequence is. And so that was that. The next day was it was conveniently Constitution Day, which I didn't even know was a thing, but I did this round. So my daughter and I spent the evening and late into the night painting mat board, both front and back, the Bill of Rights and the 7 articles on the other side. And I wore this to work the next day, to celebrate. And of course, I had the Bill of Rights facing forward. And, first, it's freedom from religion. And um, a math teacher broke down in tears over the situation that we're all in and decided to go ahead and not hang his poster, joined the teacher association I'm in. And then this was all just before first period. It's just walking into the building because, of course, this granted attention. But 30 minutes into teaching my lesson, I was called into the office. A sub was just dropped into my room, and I had a meeting for, I was being accused of inciting a riot and encouraging protests on campus. And I was being lectured for, it felt like an eternity over this. My big feelings from the meeting before were brought up, and I was finally able to just calmly state that it was Constitution Day, and this is my way of honoring that. I was not even believed. I was called a liar. So went on about the day. Next was what happened last week. Well, excuse me. We had a mandatory meeting weeks later over classroom decor, and I was actually sought after while I was in the bathroom. I was 2 minutes late to this meeting, right after the bell, and an associate principal came and got me from the bathroom in the building, like a separate building. So I just already felt like whatever they were going to discuss surely had something to do with me. And classroom decor, yes, because I'm an art teacher and I have all the things. And we were just lectured about the fact that we have very conservative students, which on my campus we don't. Um, and that we needed to be considerate of our students and their backgrounds and where they come from. And so I just took that as if there's a problem with something, they'll let me know, I'm leaving. Well, I was called into another meeting. It was an hour and a half long after work, all impromptu and through text message, super professional. And in a nutshell there, I was told that I needed to take down my inclusion flag, that the district had come and visited our campus and they came to see who all had hung their posters and who didn't, that my room is flagged. And they were not happy with all of the civil rights posters and just the art that I have in my room. It was too woke, and that the inclusion flag for sure had to come down. This was a heated dispute that I can expand on, but I know I have like a time limit. Can go back to it if you want, but so then the last incident, I was also warned that many teachers have been bringing my like snapshots or screenshots of my social media account, just my Facebook specifically, my profile picture. It says F ICE, and it's a picture, of some street art in DC that I took. That's it. And she told me that I really should consider taking that down because it makes people uncomfortable. Of course, I didn't. So fast forward, this is all before winter break. And last week, TEA released, so Texas Education Agency just released, the threat of taking away our certifications and going under investigation if any of us are encouraging or helping organize student protests against ICE. of course, it had already been in the news at this point that Austin and these larger districts down south were doing this, which, yay. I didn't think for a second that any of our students in Amarillo were doing any of this, and I definitely hadn't even heard a stirring of it. I really sincerely had not. But I get called out of class. No warning, no emails. None of this has been by email. I'm just told you have a meeting with the principal, like 10 minutes. Here's the sub. Bye. And I honestly thought I was just going to get in trouble for teaching Black history because I've been showing them videos, and I just went into a whole extensive thing on Fred Hampton. And, so that's what I thought I was getting called in for. But no, it was accusatory questioning over student protests here in Amarillo. And I was genuinely shocked because I have heard nothing, and I certainly wasn't even doing it. Didn't know it was going to be a thing. And
So at this point, you're being accused of like just by association because of other stands that you've taken.
I'm
That,
accused of all the things.
but what we're learning and what we can take from what you're doing is it's okay to not comply. It's okay to take a stand in a way that it is disruptive in its own way, because when something is unjust, isn't it our responsibility to say no? And so your courage is so encouraging. We're really proud to stand with you, and that you are taking this stand in a state where it is not easy to take stands like this. So thank you so much. There is so much love for you in the chat. But we are getting close to time, so we want to bring everybody back on stage for a final Q&A, because you guys have so many questions, and we want to get to as many of them as we can. So Andrea, I'm going to add you back to the stage as well. There are so many questions, so let's see what. Goodness, where do we even start? How are we allowing our actions to show our power?
That again, go to bravewomen.us. And I just want to take a second and just thank all three of our guests. Really, so much love for Amanda, so much love for Amber, so much love for Andrea. Just in all the different ways that you can show up in all of these different communities, like really, Andrea and Andrea. I was like, wait, that's not right. Andrea and Amber, showing up in organizations. I just want to highlight that there are ways that you can show up in organization, show up collectively, and really, Amanda, just like so much love and respect for showing up as an individual in your workplace, because the level of risk, the amount of I am going to stand for, for what I believe in, even in, in this sort of environment. And listen, Texas is not a safe space for many of our folks, and especially up in the panhandle where you are. And so, we're going to follow up with you after the call, because we just want to show up, and we know you're a part of the Women's March community by extension. But yeah, I just want to say, like, if you are making any of those acts, like taking any of those steps, like Amanda, and just little small ways to the large ways that we see Andrea and Amber lifting up. We want to know about all of it, y'all, because every single one of us have the ability. And we are in a moment where things that feel normal, things that feel regular, are risky, right? Amanda said, I thought they were going to clock me for teaching Black history, because we are in a moment where teaching Black history in a classroom is risky, right? And so we applaud all of you that are taking risks. We want you to know that you are not alone. Please do let us know what you're up to. We want to lift you up. We want to lift up what you all are doing across the country.
Now, we do have a question. I've never been to a women's march before. On the weekend of the protest, will there be calls to action, booths, people signing petitions, making calls together? Yes. In
So
short, yes, and
All
I
of
would
that.
depending on where you are.
I would jump in there and say, you can make one and you can make it be whatever you want it to be. So if you want it to be a whole bunch of people writing postcards, if you want it to be a petition drive, if you want to go door knocking, if you want to stand on the corner and blow whistles as ICE comes through your neighborhood, if you want to build whistle packets, if you want to get a crochet group together to make the red hats that are becoming iconic right now, whatever you want this to be is what it can be for you, and that's up to you. So do it all.
And can I just add here, there is a method to the madness. I saw someone say, this is vague. Give us specific things. And here's the thing. I live in Georgia. Risa lives in California. Shauna lives in Pennsylvania. We cannot tell you what is going to be impactful in your community, what is going to be valuable in your community, what is going to make sense where I live is not what is needed where Amber is in Minnesota, right? The thing that is going to be necessary, the thing that you have to confront is not going to be the same as the thing that I have to confront, okay? And so you have to build an action that makes sense for the community, for the location, for the conditions that you are in. And yes, there will be toolkits. We always have a good old toolkit. We are good for a good old toolkit for you, friends. There will be a toolkit available. That's Shauna's nodding because that's Shauna's wheelhouse. She's going to build you a good old nasty toolkit, okay? So there will be toolkits that will give you options. There will be trainings that will help you prepare yourselves. There will be all the things, but you have to think about your community. Think about your network. A student walkout is not going to work if you are a community retirees. You understand what we're saying? So you got to do the thing that makes the most sense for your community and your conditions.
Now, to that end, if you're brand new to all this, is there a link to get hooked up with the local group? Shauna?
I'm going to say just email me. You can email me, sistermarch@womensmarch.com. Hit me up. We will talk. I will get on a call with you. We can communicate like human beings, and I will help you get things moving. We don't necessarily have a chapter network. We count on everyday people to stand up in their own communities. And so we will help you meet up with other people in your community. So yeah, give me an email, drop me a message.
Excellent. And also check the map. People put stuff up on the map. That's where a lot of people are connecting. All right. Now let's take a look. How can I donate to Minnesota? We have a link that we are dropping right there in the scrolling banner, standwithminnesota.com. That is a great way to connect. Now let's see. Andrea, what's your organization?
I'm with Organized Power in Numbers. So we're also a national organization, but we have campaigns in New Mexico, Arizona, Texas, and North Carolina.
Amazing. And we're going to be sending out links of resources to everybody who signed up for this session tonight. So make sure that if you didn't sign up before, you can still sign up. Use the same link that's in our social media. It's in our link tree. Use that to sign up. You will receive all the links for all of our all the organizations represented here tonight in that email. This is a public call as well. So it is live streamed on multiple public platforms, and it will be published on YouTube tomorrow, really as soon as this is over. So you'll be able to watch back and recap if there's anything that you have missed. As a male ally, how can I get other men involved?
I'm curious if any of our guests want to jump in on that question. I mean, we have thoughts, but I would love if y'all have thoughts as well.
I mean, I'll take it. I want to say that we have many men on our current Veterans Coalition here in Minnesota, and they're wonderful. And also, some of them, it may have taken a while for them to get to be wonderful because it is necessary for men to be able to take direction from women, queer people, non-binary people. And that generally, I think one of the things that I see most often is that men need to be able to sit and listen and receive feedback. And so working on those skills, receive and give good feedback, not just criticize, and that we are constantly working towards being in good relationship with each other and not trying to antagonize each other. So it is about expressing feelings and determining needs and not just reacting from a place of, immediate emotions sort of thing. And that, the ability to sit and listen and ask for what is needed as opposed to just making a decision and expecting it to be done is a difference between a matriarchal and a patriarchal space.
Excellent. Okay, this is going to be our last question because we are actually at time, but I think this is an important one. Can we talk about non-cooperation long-term? We need to know how to organize with our communities to create a sustaining movement like the bus boycotts. They had an entire system set up in advance. Tamika touched on this a little bit. Andrea, I'm curious how within your community you have been organizing these sustainable systems, because I know that it's hard to get out to a city council meeting with kids in tow. How has that worked out for you and your community?
Yeah, I think sustainability is definitely important in it being long term, because you don't want your community to be burnt out and not being able to show up. So I think it's really taking time to step back and reflect, like, what impact is this making? Is this, creating the goal that we're trying to achieve here? For us, the goal was like, we solely want to disrupt them, want them to end this meeting because they're not going to want to hear us. They didn't make a space for us to be heard. And so that was our goal. And now we're taking time to really collect ourselves and be like, okay, what's next? But we have these demands that we want, right? We want these demands for the immigrant community here in Phoenix. Like, let's regroup. What do we build from here that makes sense? Because we can't be going at 100 every single time, because it won't be sustainable. So does it look like maybe we can get some volunteers who weren't able to show up and speak and chat, to make calls, send emails? What are these different levels of, I think as was being talked about tonight, these different levels of direct action, so that the pressure can continue going, but people aren't being burnt out. People aren't, having to leave because they feel like it's too much. And I think that's the way that we're trying to go about it, to make sure that we have this cycle going. But we know that we need to take a step back and regroup. And did this work? Do we need to change it? How is everybody doing?
Can I just offer reading resource? Shauna said earlier, it's like, I will have a good book recommendation for you. We talk a lot about the Montgomery bus boycott. I think it's very important. It is a pivotal moment. It is something for us to learn from. And we often have a truncated understanding of what it was and what it took to organize it. I highly, highly recommend the book, The Montgomery Bus Boycott and the Women Who Organized It. It's the memoir of Joanne Robinson, who was a part of the Women's Political Committee in Montgomery that created the infrastructure beforehand, as a person in the question asked, the infrastructure in place that made it possible for when the trigger moment happened, that was the arrest of Rosa Parks, made it possible for the Montgomery bus boycott to last an entire year. And so I highly recommend, again, the book is called The Montgomery Bus Boycott and the Women Who Organized It.
We love a good reading recommendation on this team. And really, we love to be immersed in the why of it all. So we hope that you'll continue to join us as we give you the how and the why and the tools and the tactics and the trainings as we get closer to International Women's Day. Thank you to all of our guests tonight. Thank you to the team who is here tonight. There are so many team members behind the scenes who are helping us make this happen as well. And of course, most importantly, thank you for being here with us tonight, for choosing to take action and to be brave. Have a good night. See you next time.